Right, well, before I start off this review, this is a refilmed and re-uploaded review. Simply because the original review I did of this locomotive, which is the Clan Class 6MT BR Standard from Hornby, I wasn't very happy with the video that went up, the original video. And it's nothing to do with the video's quality, but it's down to the fact mainly that I failed to pronounce the locomotive's name right. Because I said it was Clan Bachmann. It's not Clan Bachmann at all, it's Buchanan. And that is because there is a C and a H in it, but it's silent. It's a silent ch. The ch isn't in the name. It is a Scottish name, by the way, to those that are curious. And so I thought I would re-upload it. And also, weather-wise that day, it wasn't brilliant. We had all sorts of wind and rain pelting down on the garage roof. And as it's a much nicer day outside, I thought, well, I'll refilm it. Why not? Well, that's a bit of... If you heard that then, that was some rainwater from the trees that was just hitting off the branches and pelting onto the shed roof. Now, this locomotive is brand new. It was unused when I got it, but it's technically not used now because it has been used. But I've only had it for a day so far, so it's still brand new, if that makes any sense. Now, it's in the newer style Bachmann packaging, which is the split packaging, which is my favourite. It cost £120 from S&J models. Now that price is fantastic, because usually these locomotives would go for 135 quid or even higher. So that is a bargain, considering this was a brand new model and never been used and unopened. So what have we got? Well, actually we don't even need to look at the side of the box here. There's on the bottom here. Oh, I slightly knocked the tripod then. It's R2846 BR462 Pacific Standard Class 6MT Clan Buchanan, which is the Clan class. And on the back of the box, because it's the box sleeve, we get some brief history of the Clan class. Now, these were designed by Robert Riddles for British Railways Derby, built at Crewe Works, and named by engineer Ernest Stuart Cox. And the design was based off the Britannia class. There is no confusion though, because the intention with these is so they could build a lighter Pacific, and they had smaller boilers, and they had rate reduction. 10 of these were only built. They did plan a further 15, but because of a severe steel shortage, this order met continual postponement. And because of the British modernisation plan, they cancelled the orders. And none of these locomotives survived into preservation. That is such a shame that no one thought to preserve one of the original clans. There is a new build one that's been undertaken at the Great Central Railway, but it's a shame that none of the originals survive. And there is a bit of brief history on Clan Buchanan as well. In fact, there's a photo of the actual loco, 72,000. And it says here, 72,000 Clan Buchanan was assigned to the Glasgow shed, and was the first of the clans to enter service, when on January the 15th, 1952, the Lord Provost, whatever that is, or if, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but I don't care, unveiled its nameplates at Glasgow Central Station. Clan Buchanan was withdrawn on December the 29th, 1962, and cut up the following year, in December. So there you go. And these locomotives had a bad reputation as well. Not because of design, bizarrely. It was the lack of investment in their modification. And some of these drivers that only operated them periodically found them difficult to handle. But that is just some brief history though. If you want the full history, go to places like Wikipedia. But sorry about that then, 2 Colas Class 56s have just gone past on a steel train. Typical. I've always decided to do a review, and when I'm trying to film them, they run. You know, it's sod's law for you. So anyway, the accessories. You get the brake rods, chain link coupling, a vacuum pipe, or 2 actually, drain cocks, a spare coupling for the front, and that, whatever it is, I don't know what it is, but it's usual. So that'll go on later. And then here, now this is not the original bag it came in, I'll put it in there, and it's a wheel which is for display only, because I find if you put these on the locomotives it causes them to derail around bends. And it's the same sort of thing that you get with the Bully Pacifics, the A4s and the A3s. There may be other locomotives but I'm not too sure. And you get the instructions there as well, how to put it on. Okay, so now all we need to do is to take these plastic bands off, and I'll just drop one on the floor. There we go. Then we just take away this plastic window. So if my arm was in the way then, and then just lift up the top. That's what I love about the packaging. You don't get this with anyone else. Then we just gently lift the locomotive, and indeed the tender, out the box. Being careful not to damage anything, especially on camera. So then we just take away the bottom, if you pardon the pun, and put that to one side. Now all we need to do is to get rid of this tissue paper. It's like unveiling a locomotive in a workshop for the first time, this is. And I just bin the tissue paper. I'm not too fond of the tissue paper, but there you go. Right, so we'll start with the locomotive first and we'll save the tender to last, because I usually do. And sorry if I've been knocking the camera there, it's because of where the camera is. And so here we have the Clan class from Hornby. Right, having moved the camera closer now to the workbench, which is what I think the video's on, it should be much easier to hold. But anyway, so let's have a look. Wow, what a gorgeous model. For starters, there's a hell of a lot of weight in this, it really is heavy. But it's what we need the weight to pull things, whether it's a freight or a passenger, because without the weight it would be useless. And it wouldn't be a true locomotive. So, let's start with the detail. Well, we have sprung buffers, of course, that's what we would expect. You have the footsteps at the front, which are added on already, so you don't have to fit them on separately, which is good. And there's the front bogie, which is easily able to turn round bends. There's the holes where the detail has to go into, and you get some rivets on the buffer beam as well as some lamp irons on the running board. And you have the running plate, which is raised above the wheels to prevent the uses of wheel splashes, which is accurate. And you also see this on the 9F, the Bully Pacifics and the Britannias, which is nice. And you get these cylinders here as well, which have lining around them, and there's even some rivets, as you can see. Now here's all the valve gear and the link motion and the side rods, just look at that. And I just love the shine to it, especially if you turn it into the light. You get a nice shine on it. And also there's the style of wheels, as you can see. And here's the sanding gear. Do be careful, it's fragile though. Then there's the rear wheel, which is the flanged one, and it's now also known as the floating wheel because it floats in the air. And then the rear bogie detail is really nice. You get an axle box there, and a few springs, and you get all this brass pipework there as well, which is not moulded, it's been put on separately. That's where the loco connects to the tender. You get some nice rivets on the cab sides there, with the lining and the number, 72,000. And there's the 6, the top there. You get that detail there, which is nice, but be careful. You get some glazing in the windows, and I love how there's gold paint around the front ones, which is nice. This at the back here is a cab extension, and it's very similar to what you get on the 5MT, standard class 5. There's even some more rivets on the cab roof, and just look at this. You get 2 vents that open, so you can have it as open as you want, and where you want it to be open, so that's really good. You don't normally see that very often. And you get some more brass pipework here as well, just look at all that. Really is incredible. And there's the reversing lever there as well, and some more detailing down here, which is nice. And there's some more pipework as well, as you can see. And you also get some fine metal handrails that go down the side of the loco's boiler as well. And there's even some rivets as well at the top of the boiler. Just look at that. That's really nice. And what I do love, there's no mould line at the top, which is excellent. There's the nice dome with some rivets around the bottom and the safety valves. And the livery is spot on. The BR Brunswick green with the usual lining, which is the red and black stripes. It's just excellent. And you get some nice fine metal handrails put on separately. They go on the smoke deflectors with rivets on them as well. And there's the nameplates that are printed with the red background. Clan Bachmann, which I think is a really nice name. There's some more rivets on the top of the smoke box as well as a nice chimney, so you could fit a generator unit in there if you wanted. Not that I'm going to. I mean, just look at the detail on this model. And if you turn around to the back, just look at that. Cab detail painted. You get gauges, dials, the pipes, the turning wheels, the speedometer. It's all there and painted. And that's really good. You even do get some rivets here as well, as you can see. So just gently put her down and spin around. Again, you get some more pipework down here. And some more rear wheel detail. There's even some more pipework down here as well, which is nice. Again, there's all the link motion and the valve gear and the side rods, which is exactly the same on the other side because it has to be, as far as I understand. Some more sanding gear and more rivets and more separately put on glazing. Separately put on, I mean separately put in, so it's not like it's a moulded thing. More rivets, and again the running number is the same as the other side. And there's the front windows with that gold paint that goes around it. And you get some more pipework there as well. And it's all painted, just look at that. It really stands out. And there's some more pipework going along the bottom of the locomotive's boiler, as you can see, just like on the other side. And you get another fine metal handrail, as well as some more pipework, and you get the locomotive's whistle, of course. You can't forget that. Again, there's the nameplates, Clan Bachmann, and more rivets on the smoke deflectors, and another separately put on handrail. And another footstep, of course. Just be careful of the valve gear though, because I don't want to hold it and snap it off. And then the front. What can we say about that? You get another lamp on the top of the smoke box door. Another put on handrail, which is separate, which is nice. The locomotive's running number, of course, 72,000. And the smoke box door handles, which are put on separately, not moulded. So that'll make people happy. And then there's the shed code, which is, if it will focus, 66A and 5C at the bottom. So that should be the code for Glasgow. Well, it should be, because that's where it was allocated. But wow, what a stunning model. Just look at the detail on this. There's not a single basic bit anywhere. I think it's not hard to see why I think this model is phenomenal. Okay, so now we'll move on to the tender. Right, well, the light is just starting to get dark outside. As you can see, so I won't be too long with this. So there's a fair bit of weight in the tender. There's not a massive amount, but then there doesn't really need to be. You get some nice footsteps on the tender, like there should be, and there's an M coupling at the back, which is a slim one, which is good, and sprung buffers, because the front ones were. So it makes sense to have them on the tender. The underframe detail is really nice, with the springs and some rivets on the axle boxes. And then underneath, you get a water scoop to pick up the water from the troughs, like it used to in the olden days. And that is where that little plug goes into. Then here's the tender connection, which is very similar to the one they use on the Railroad Tornado model, which is interesting. There's the tender buffers and some rivets on the front there and the faceplate of the tender. You get some nice windows at the front there, which is good because this channel here allows the driver when in reverse to look behind him so he can see, which is ace and accurate to the real one. You also get these storage cupboards as well, and these handles here as well, which are painted, which is nice. And that one's for water, and that one's the handbrake. So that's nice. In fact, you don't usually get writing on there that tells you which is which. That's nice. Then there's some coal in there. Then there's the coal in the tender. It is removable, and it does seem to slide. But I have found it hard to try and remove it, but I'm going to scatter some real stuff over it anyway, so it's not a problem. But there's some rivets all around the tender body, which is ace. And again, you've got that nice lining, and you've got the early emblem for BR, which is a true work of art in my opinion, because I prefer it more than the BR Light crest. There's some more rivets on the top of the tender, as well as the water filler cap where the water goes into. There's a ladder at the back and some more rivets and lamp irons and some handrails. And it's a 4,250 gallon tender. I'm assuming that's right. Well, it must be, of course. Then you get some more handrails at the top of here as well, which are put on separately. And you get some more rivets as well. And again, the livery, I didn't roll off the tongue then. The livery matches that of the loco, of course. But wow, what a great model. This locomotive is a must buy. I think every layout, whether it's a steam layout or even if it's a modern era layout, has to have one of these. Because there's not going to be any disappointment in them. But you've only seen the detail so far. Now we need to see it running. And can I just say, I prefer to have one of these models than the Hornby 71000 Duke of Gloucester model. So let's put the Bachmann loco on the track. Right, so here we're at the track and we're going to run Bachmann on this line. It makes a change. Because recently I have been running a lot of locomotives on the other line. I know in the previous video I ran a locomotive on this track. But it's nice to run locomotives in reviews on this track again though. Okay, so she's on the rails. This wagon here did have cable drums. Right, sorry about that then. The SD card was full and I had to change it. So anyway, as I was saying, this is a triangle, what I believe is a conflat wagon. It could be a one plank, I don't know. It is made by Triangle though. As you can just about see it, it's hidden by that price tag. Which if I can just... Right, well it's hard to come off, but it is made by Triangle. It did have some cable drums on it. But they are now on the layout, as you can just about see there. They have been glued there, and the reason is because I am planning to experiment with this wagon, as well as a couple of other conflats I've bought, because I'm going to add some Scaldale items to them, which will be quite fun, and will be quite nice to undertake. So that's just explaining that, because I wanted to. Also, we're going to get this locomotive running right round the rails first, and then she's going to pull that train of maroon coaches. Look very nice. But anyway, let's get the running. Now just look at how smooth that is. There's no grinding noises or anything. It's a really smooth and quiet mechanism. Which is what we want it to be. I mean, just look at all that link motion moving. Just like on the real thing. I mean, there's not even any stutters coming from her as well, which is good. So, here she goes, passing under the bridge. And over the level crossing and through the tunnel, where she'll appear out on the other end. The crossing will have some gates on it eventually. And she will appear at this end, of course. It's not like she's going to appear on the moon. And there she goes, passing the sidings where there's some cattle wagons in. Passing the signal box in the station where all the crowds of people are cheering her on. And there she goes, passing the grounded coach body and the seaside, which has got invisible people on, but there will be people there soon, trust me. And then passing the engine sheds, where the only engine currently on shed is the Duke Dog by Bachmann. And then back round to this point again. Right, so now we're going to go pulling these maroon coaches, as you can see, which I think suits the locomotive really well, in my opinion. But anyway, so let's get started and get her rolling. Right, look at that. Not even a straying. We are coming up to some slight dodgy track though, but you can still manage. Yeah, there's a bad connection there. We can turn the power up a little bit. There we go. She's now on the roll. Nice. It's not the fastest speed, but it's something. Besides, I don't want to go too fast. Must get that joint fixed. Look at that. That looks really ace. So now I'm going to get some close-up shots of her. Of course, because that's what I usually do. Well, what else is there to say about her? Well, as I said earlier, every layout needs one. This is a must buy. There's no disappointment in her. Yes, look at that. That bad joint's been fixed now. Whatever you get her to pull, passengers, freight, though I think she'll look much better and more suited pulling coaches. Get one. It's just a privilege to have one of these, and I'm really glad that I had one on my wish list. Truly stunning.